Karen thought my private driveway was her shortcut. She ignored my signs. She ignored my warnings. She even ignored the sheriff. So I stopped arguing. I stopped explaining. And one quiet morning, I let my dog handle it. That's when her confidence collapsed, in front of everyone. Karen didn't think she was doing anything wrong the first time she cut through my driveway. That's how it always starts. Not with aggression. Not with shouting. Just quiet entitlement rolling slowly past your mailbox like it belongs there. I live on 5 wooded acres at the edge of town. 1 long gravel driveway. 1 mailbox. 1 clearly posted sign that reads, "Private property, no through traffic." No HOA. No shared access. No easement. Just mine. I bought this place because I wanted quiet. I wanted space. I wanted control over my boundaries. What I didn't expect was someone from the subdivision down the road deciding my driveway was their personal shortcut. The first time it happened, I was standing near my garage when I heard tires crunching on gravel. I assumed it was a delivery truck. It wasn't. It was a white SUV creeping down my driveway like it had somewhere important to be. She slowed when she saw me. Window down. Big smile. "Oh, hi," she chirped like we were neighbors. "Traffic's backed up at the main entrance again. This just saves a few minutes." I stared at her. "This is private property." She gave a dismissive little wave. "Oh, I know. But it connects back to the county road. It's not like I'm hurting anything." That was my first lesson. People who think they aren't hurting anything rarely ask permission. I stepped closer. "There's no easement. No access agreement. I need you to turn around." Her smile tightened, just slightly. "Well, that seems unnecessary." "It's not." There was a long pause. Then she reversed, slowly, dramatically, like I was the inconvenience. I figured that was the end of it. It wasn't. 3 days later, she did it again. This time she didn't even slow down. She waved. Didn't stop. Didn't ask. Just drove through like repetition had created permission. And then something interesting happened. Other cars followed. Apparently word spread inside her little subdivision that my driveway shaved 2 minutes off the morning school traffic loop. By the end of the week, I counted 8 different vehicles using my property like it was a public connector road. Tire tracks widened the shoulder near my drainage ditch. Someone tossed a coffee cup near my tree line. A delivery truck nearly collided with a sedan coming the opposite direction because my driveway is built for 1 household, not commuter flow. That's when I stopped being polite. I installed cameras. 2 at the entrance. 1 midway down. 1 near the garage. License plates. Timestamps. Clear footage. I started logging entries. Date. Time. Vehicle description. If they wanted to treat my driveway like infrastructure, I'd treat their behavior like documentation. About a week later, I saw her again. Same white SUV. Same confidence. This time I was ready. I moved my truck halfway across the entrance and waited. She pulled up and stopped. Didn't smile this time. "Really?" she said, glancing at my truck. "We've been using this access point for weeks now." "We?" I asked. "The community." I almost laughed. "You don't get community rights over private land." She shifted into that tone people use when they think they're explaining something obvious. "It benefits everyone. Emergency vehicles could use it too." "Show me the easement." Silence. "There's an understanding," she said finally. "With who?" Another pause. She looked annoyed now. "You can't just block neighbors from using open land." Open land. That phrase told me everything. People see trees and space and assume availability. I walked to her window. There is no easement. No right-of-way. And no agreement. If you continue entering this property, I'll document it as trespass. Her jaw tightened. You're being hostile. No, I said evenly. I'm being clear. She reversed again. But this time she didn't look embarrassed. She looked irritated. 2 days later, I called the sheriff's non-emergency line. I didn't exaggerate. I didn't dramatize. I simply asked for clarification. A deputy came out that afternoon. We walked the boundary. I showed him the parcel map. He confirmed what I already knew. Private driveway. No recorded easement. Unauthorized use can be considered trespass after warning. He agreed to speak with her if it continued. That evening, right on schedule, she drove through again. I called. The deputy intercepted her at the county road exit. I watched from a distance. No shouting. No singing. Just calm conversation. He returned to me afterward and handed me a small card. Incident number written in pen. She's been warned, he said. If she comes back after this, it escalates. I thanked him. I thought that would be the end. It wasn't. Because Karen doesn't retreat. She reorganizes. 3 days later, the HOA email blast went out. A neighbor from the subdivision, one of the quieter ones, forwarded it to me. Subject line. Safety concern regarding adjacent property access. The message described a hostile adjacent landowner obstructing what they referred to as a critical informal access route used during congestion and potential emergencies. It encouraged residents to document unsafe behavior near the entrance. My entrance. No name mentioned. But my address was the only one that fit. That's when I realized this wasn't about convenience anymore. It was about control. She couldn't win the driveway. So she tried to win the narrative. I didn't respond emotionally. I saved the email. Full headers. Downloaded as PDF. Timestamped. Then I opened a new folder on my desktop. I labeled it one word. Documentation. If she wanted to build a story about me, I'd build one with evidence. And that's when I decided to stop arguing. Stop blocking. Stop explaining. If Karen wanted to test boundaries again, next time, I wouldn't be the one standing in the driveway. And she had no idea what that meant yet. After the email blast, I stopped responding. No more blocking the driveway. No more standing outside. No more conversations. Silence makes entitled people confident. And confidence makes them predictable. I added 2 new boundary posts at the entrance, thick cedar beams set in concrete. Not a gate. Not aggressive. Just visible reinforcement that this was a defined space. I adjusted my cameras for wider angles. And I spent the next few evenings refreshing Ranger's boundary training. Ranger is a working line shepherd. Calm. Disciplined. Zero chaos in him. He doesn't bark unless there's a reason. He doesn't move unless I tell him to. And most importantly, he understands the property line better than most humans do. I walked him to the boundary stake at the edge of the driveway. Post, I said. He sat. Still. Focused. Reward. Again. Post. Sit. Stay. No movement until released. We practiced until it was muscle memory. Because I wasn't looking for drama. I was looking for clarity. And clarity doesn't argue. It stands. The opportunity came faster than I expected. Saturday morning. HOA yard sale day. Which meant traffic. Which meant impatience. Around 9:15 a.m., I saw the white SUV at the end of the county road. She slowed. Looked both directions. And turned into my driveway like she'd never been warned in her life. No hesitation. No concern. Just habit. I was on the porch with coffee in my hand. I didn't stand up. I didn't wave. I didn't shout. I gave one quiet command. Post. Ranger rose from beside my chair, trotted down the gravel, and stopped exactly at the boundary stake. Then he sat. Right in the center of the driveway entrance. Still. Ears forward. Silent. The SUV rolled closer. Slowed. Stopped. Karen leaned forward over her steering wheel. Honked once. Ranger didn't flinch. She honked again. Longer. Still nothing. I stayed seated. Coffee steady. She cracked her window. Are you serious right now? She called. I didn't raise my voice. He's on my property. So am I. She glanced around. 2 cars had pulled up behind her on the county road. People were watching. That's when her confidence started to thin. She stepped out of the SUV. Big mistake. She marched halfway up the driveway, stopping about 10 feet from Ranger. Call him off, she demanded. He's not doing anything. He's blocking access. There is no access. Her jaw flexed. You're creating a safety issue. No, I said evenly. You're trespassing. Again. She took another step forward. Ranger stood. Not lunging. Not charging. Just standing. His posture changed from neutral to alert. Low, controlled rumble in his chest. That sound did what my words hadn't managed to do in weeks. It made her hesitate. Control your dog, she snapped, but her voice wasn't steady anymore. He is controlled. Cars behind her started reversing out of the county road entrance. No one wanted to be part of whatever this was becoming. One of her fellow residents pulled out a phone. Recording. Karen noticed. And pride makes people do stupid things. She stepped 1 foot past the boundary stake. Onto my property. Shoo, she snapped at Ranger, waving her hand. That's when Ranger let out one single, deep warning bark. Not frantic. Not aggressive. Just enough to echo. Karen jumped backward so fast she nearly tripped over her own heel. And that moment, that tiny flash of fear, cracked her authority completely. See, she yelled toward the county road. He's weaponizing his dog. I stood up slowly and walked halfway down the driveway. He was warned by the sheriff 2 weeks ago, I said calmly. Incident number is on file. Her eyes darted. She knew that was true. One of the bystanders said quietly, maybe just use your own entrance. That's when she realized she wasn't leading the narrative anymore. She was losing it. And right on schedule, someone called the sheriff. Again. Deputy Morrow stepped out of his cruiser 15 minutes later, calm as ever. He looked at me. Then at Karen. Then at Ranger, now sitting again at post. What happened? He asked. Karen rushed forward first. He's using an aggressive animal to block emergency access. Morrow blinked once. There's no recorded easement here, he said flatly. We've been over this. She tried again. It's a safety route. Not legally. He turned to me. You give the dog any command other than sit and stay? No, sir. He nodded. Then he faced Karen. You were warned previously that entering this driveway constitutes trespass. Silence. If you continue to do so after today, it becomes intentional. Her face shifted from anger to calculation. Public setting. Witnesses. Phone still out. This wasn't the audience she'd hoped for. Morrow pulled out a small notepad. I'm issuing a formal trespass notice. The words landed heavier than the bark had. Karen opened her mouth. Closed it. And for the first time since this started, she didn't have a speech ready. She got back in her SUV without another word. Turned around. And used her own entrance. Just like she should have from the beginning. The HOA email that went out 2 days later was short. Subject line. Clarification regarding adjacent property. It stated clearly that no emergency corridor existed on private parcels without recorded easements. No apology. But no more claims either. Traffic through my driveway stopped completely. Ranger resumed normal porch naps. And Karen? She stopped making eye contact at the grocery store. Which, honestly, was more peaceful than any apology would have been. That night, I walked the length of my driveway with Ranger at my side. Gravel quiet. Air still. No engines cutting through. No entitlement rolling past my mailbox. Just space. The kind I paid for. The kind I protected. Here's the thing about boundaries. You don't need to shout to enforce them. You don't need to threaten. You just need consistency. And sometimes, you let something silent do the standing for you. Some people only understand a boundary when they physically run into one. Karen did. And she never tried that shortcut again.